back, everyone, to OpenLine. We have with us two school board members, two Metro school board members, Sharon Gentry and Christiane Buggs, and we're talking about critical race theory, and a very interesting discussion. Thank you both for coming on and answering these questions. Sure. I'm just going to take calls. Let's go to Ann. Ann has been waiting. Hello, Ann.
Good evening. I have a comment and a question. And I was an employee of Metro Schools at the high school level for 15 plus years. And I worked at Glencliff, many of them. And something I saw at all three of the high schools I worked, which were MLK at Hume Fogg and Glencliff, which were pretty diverse schools, were teachers that used creativity, pushed the boundaries, and without hesitation had students become engaged when they did multicultural religion studies, when they had international studies, and students who ordinarily were separated in the cafeteria or having disagreements in hallways became engaged and open and informative about their countries and their backgrounds.
Okay.
And the teachers really did an amazing job. And I think once we start some of the what can and can't be taught, you can't stop it. And my fear is they're going to put more and more restrictions on teachers, and that's what my fear is. And that's my comment. But my question is, my children, who are now 40, 38, and 32, were all blessed to go through Camp Anytown, Camp Minitown. And if you don't know what they are, they're a program that helps children understand diversity, and it's done on their level. And I've never understood why Metro schools did not have a program in place teaching our children the same basic things that Camp Anytown and Minitown teach.
Okay,
because
is that your question?
We expect our children to go to school together, but we don't teach them diversity and how to do it.
Okay.
So why don't we have that in our schools?
All right, Ann, thank you.
I can say if Camp Anytown, Minitown is what I remember it to be and how expensive it was per child, I think that's the reason why MMPS hasn't adopted it. But really, we could go through all the bureaucracy and all the different things that come from the federal government, the state, that mandate how our time is spent in that 7.5-hour school day. That's also why we don't get to teach as much about diversity. But the goal of an educator is to thread all of these different content areas together. So to teach literacy and history while you're teaching math, to teach literacy and science while you're teaching social studies. I mean, and so I think a good teacher, as she likely was, likely taught across a few different content areas, and whether she realized it or not, was teaching about diversity. That's what I'm going to choose to assume, and that's what I think happens in many of our schools, especially as we continue to increase the diversity of our teaching staff, and we make sure that we have the different perspectives offered in an authentic way.
All right, I'm going to keep going to calls here. Let's go to Taylor. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, Ben.
Hello.
You've got a red hot topic here tonight, and I only have a 3.5-year-old grandson that'll be going to school. But by the time he gets there, I don't know if this critical race theory, which your guests are trying to explain how they're going to teach it and not call it that. And the wit and wisdom is just a sideline of the same thing, and it is one of the most splitting of things that's going to hit this community this fall. And I expect there's going to be lots of problems with it from the parents of many students, like it is across the United States. History and facts are one thing, but there is so much hate theory for the white race in this theory, and it is throughout. And I'm surprised that Channel 5 and Scripps is so into promoting it, like the NEA is promoting it, and I think it's going to really cause a lot of problems, more so than the $18 million that the school board gave away to Meharry Medical College.
Okay.
That's my thoughts, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Taylor. All right, so he's very concerned about wit and wisdom. We talked about that at the top of the show. It's this new curriculum. He says it's going to split, divisive. He says hate toward a race, white race. I mean, all right, so that's what you're hearing about wit and wisdom. That's a concern from a grandparent. What do you say?
I say, I choose to empathize with you because I have a 3-year-old son who will also be entering Metro Nashville Public Schools and who will be taught a myriad of things. He'll be taught how to count. He'll be taught his ABCs. He'll be taught how to write his name and talk about shapes. He will hear one way or the other that he's a black boy, that he's a black boy, because that is what he is. And it will not be that someone taught him critical race theory. It will not be that someone taught him to dislike or have distaste for any other race or any other gender or anyone that's not like him. It will be that there are facts that he is accepting about himself, and that there are ideas about the world around him that he will be encouraged to think about, that he will not be forced anything, that he will not be indoctrinated as a black girl in MNPS was years ago, that he will be taught true history, accurate history, complete history. And I will continue to suggest that this generation of 3-year-olds and 13-year-olds and even 20-year-olds that are exposing themselves to the world around them, whether they have the means to or not, that they are engaging with like-minded peers who don't look like them. They are going to continue to challenge their parents and their grandparents who believe that through rose-colored glasses that everyone has had the same opportunities, and that we don't need to talk about our differences because our differences don't matter. I do agree that we should love everyone, and that is exactly what I teach my son. But at some point, even when he experiences hate, whatever I have taught him as a parent, whatever Metro Nashville Public Schools has taught him as educators, will have prepared him to encounter that and push back with love. But we won't push back with lies. We won't. We won't push back with ignorance. We won't.
And only about a minute. What would you say? He's very concerned about wit and wisdom. I think that, that may be something that we're going to hear a lot about.
I think he needs to pick up a book that is involved in, that's part of the wit and wisdom curriculum.
Yeah, I guess explain again what wit and wisdom is, because we may hear a lot about it. There's already been this complaint filed, and what do you want people to know about wit and wisdom? Either one of you.
Wit and wisdom is a set of textbooks. It is a curriculum that our teachers teach from. That it is a literacy textbook group, and it's not the way that our expert educators will teach it. It is just what they will be teaching from. It is the different sources that they will be engaging. And so I would continue to encourage parents to just pick up wit and wisdom for themselves. Talk to the teacher about what the standards are that the child will need to learn, and how that textbook, how that curriculum will teach that standard. Because when we're talking literacy, wit and wisdom is a literacy curriculum. It's going to be teaching our students age-appropriate or grade level appropriate standards that were set by the state of Tennessee.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. I'll take more calls right after this.